All right, guys, welcome back to the Downtown Rams podcast. As always, I'm your host, Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host, Jake Ellenbogen. And guys, we are coming to you to preview the Rams Week 4 matchup against our division rival, the San Francisco 49ers, in San Francisco on Monday Night Football. Jake, always a fun time when we can be live in prime time, and even more so against a division rival. And Jake, this isn't just any division rival. This is the division rival that we played in the NFC Championship last year to win and then go on to win the Super Bowl. So left things on a bad note with the 49ers, according to them and their fan base. It was a really tough, hard-fought game from both sides. It was very intense. We came out the winners and the ultimate winner as a Super Bowl champion, and I'm sure that they didn't forget that, Jake. So it's going to be very interesting to see us match up against them on Monday night. And there's a lot to talk about, Jake, and we're going to kind of break it down. But just a quick preview, the big story is the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo. He's who we saw last year. He's who we saw last year all season. He's who we saw in the NFC Championship game. But Jake, this year was Trey Lance's year. He finally was handed the reins. He was drafted third overall in 2021 by the 49ers, I believe. Third, might have been fourth. I'm pretty sure it was third.
Yeah, it was third.
Okay, sorry. The look that you kind of gave me, I thought for a second I said it wrong, and I was like, doubting myself.
No, you're good.
Yeah, third overall. This is his year. First year starting, ends up getting a really, really bad ankle injury. I think week 2 of the season. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in. He looks like he's going to be their guy for the foreseeable future. They're not quite sure when Trey Lance will be back. So, Jake, what's the vibe for you going into this game? I mean, is this as intense as it has been made out to seem? Or is it more a symbolism type thing? Are people just kind of making it a big deal because of what happened last year, the NFC Championship? What do you think? What's going on with this?
Alexis, I think this is the biggest game of the year. I really do. This is the game where you take that monkey off your back. You know, you talk about the NFC Championship game, and I think a lot of people felt like that was the moment, and the Rams have to prove that was the moment. Sean McVay has to prove that was the moment. You know, I think we look too much at the players, and we put all this stock on the players, but you know, I do think a lot of it has gone to Sean McVay and the decisions and the different change of play, like things that he's done has caused the Rams to lose games in the past in this rivalry game, this rivalry series. So, and then things on the flip side of it, things that Kyle Shanahan has done have allowed the 49ers to win the game. I mean, just go back and look at the first time they played. It was like 31-10, like the same score the Bills won, week 1 of this year. The 49ers, I also did a watch party on. So we won't be doing that this week, but
those are done.
Those are done.
Those are banned. They're banned.
I will have like pitchforks and torches at my doorstep if I do something like that. So we'll avoid that. But in all seriousness, though, Kyle Shanahan basically was like, you know what? Why don't we just try and start running Deebo Samuel? And that was the game, Alexis. If you remember, I mean, the wide back that we hear in Deebo Samuel and how he became a running back wide receiver. That was the game where he really took over. They ran 35 times or even more than that, I remember. And, Shanahan just wants to run the football. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, you look at Garoppolo, I think there are times where maybe Jimmy Garoppolo could throw more. And he does make some absolutely fantastic throws. But then there are some where you're like, what is he doing? Kind of similar to Jared Goff, if you will. But, I think when you look at Shanahan, he just wants to run the football. And so, it's really come down to these two coaches. And I think Sean McVay one-upped Kyle Shanahan for the first time in that series in a long time in the NFC title game. I mean, I think the Rams the score does not indicate the Rams should have won that game by more. They had a ton of miscues. And I thought, Kyle, I mean, in my opinion, I think Sean McVay put them in a great situation to ultimately win that football game. And Alexis, before I send it off to you, I just have to put this out. I'm putting it out on every single little video that I talk about the Rams and 49ers on. I hear way too much of the, what if Jaquiski Tartt intercepts that ball, though? Like, what if he doesn't drop it? Well, first off, there's 9 minutes to go. I just watched this game, so it's fresh in my memory. Second, no one talks about it. You were actually at the game, I believe. And no one talks about Jalen Ramsey jumping the route and dropping a surefire pick six. Not an arm punt for Matthew Stafford, a surefire pick six by Jalen Ramsey. He drops that, and no one talks about that because the Rams won. But, everyone brings up the 49ers Jaquiski Tart like that was the game. That was not the game. There were 9 minutes to go. So it's a big game for both sides because the Niners are, worried about going 1-3. The Rams are worried about, not going 3-1 and going back to 500. They don't like being there. But I think it's the biggest game of the year for sure, for at least the Rams, because, this is the statement. You have to make this statement. You have to show, okay, the Niners, they may match up well against us, but we're done with that. Trent Williams is out. There is no excuse. We got to win this football game.
I agree. And we're going to get into it. We're going to start with the injury report. But this time you're going to read it instead of me. We were looking for the injury report. I was like, I don't see it. And then Jake realized there is not an injury report yet released for today. We're recording this on Saturday. So Jake has the Friday injury report that we are going to share. But first, I do want to show everybody what I'm drinking right here. If you're watching this on video, you can see that I have the limited time cream soda Olipop. It's great. Jake, I'm not sure if you've had Olipop yet. I've had it. It is great, guys. What it is it's a prebiotic soda. So it's not technically soda, but it tastes just like soda. And it is only 40 calories and it's full of like fiber and vitamins and stuff that's like really good for you. And it's great. I'm going to crack it open for my ASMR crowd. You guys can't say I never do anything for you, right? It's ASMR. I know I'm behind, but hopefully this makes up for it. Right? You ready, Jake?
I'm ready.
Is that good?
That was very satisfying.
Isn't it? All right. It is.
Oh, man.
It really is. All right, Jake, you go ahead and read out that injury report while I sip on this cream soda Olipop.
So at the moment, Arik Armstead did not practice on Friday, according to Matt Barrows of The Athletic, with a foot injury. As you know, Arik Armstead is a huge portion of that defensive line. They chose him over DeForest Buckner. So when they gave him the money, obviously he's one of the mainstays in that defensive line. That's a huge loss if he does not play. In addition to that, the other guy, Javon Kinlaw, former first-round pick. We know him for a lot of other reasons. But for this reason, he didn't practice Friday due to a knee injury, according to Matt Barrows. In addition to that, the backup to George Kittle, Ross Dwelley, who was filling in there nicely, he has a rib injury, didn't practice Friday. Danny Gray is now doubtful, which is very interesting. He didn't practice Friday either with a hip injury. And Gray is somebody they got in the third round right after the Rams drafted Logan Bruss. They got Danny Gray, and Gray is somebody that can really stretch the field. He's got great speed. So a lot of 49ers fans, from what I've seen, have really been dying to see him in action. And looks like he's going to be held out for this game in all likelihood. And then Tarvarius Moore is out, the safety. And then in addition to that, of course, you have left tackle, Trent Silverback Williams, best left tackle in all of football. He might be out for the next game, Rams and 49ers, because surprisingly, Alexis, they are playing 2 games in like the next 4 or 5 weeks. So kind of weird. Yeah. Normally we see the later on in the year. They're playing early in the year. On the flip side of that, the Rams, questionable is Darion Kendrick, but Sean McVay basically said he's cleared to go for, from the concussion protocol. Brian Allen is out. David Edwards is out. I got to give kudos to the Rams here. They did something that the Dolphins should have done with Tua Tagovailoa. Basically, David Edwards was having some fogginess and immediately reported it and said, he didn't feel great or whatever. And the Rams did not waste any time. They ruled him out. He's being evaluated for a concussion. This is how you do it, Miami. Unfortunately, with the whole Tua thing you saw on Thursday Night Football, it's hard to even watch that game afterwards. Hopefully he's okay. But I had to give kudos because anytime a team puts a player and their safety ahead of just the game. I mean, think about it. Does David Edwards help the Rams? Absolutely. He's their starting left tackle. But it's smart to just like listen to your players here. Like he clearly, he had some fogginess. He wasn't ready. So you do that. I like that. Thumbs up for that. Unfortunately, Jacoby Durant, everyone wants to see this kid play. We saw him, against the Falcons, had the interception, a lot of fun stuff there. Doesn't play in week 3. He's not, unfortunately, going to play in week 4 either. He is out, as well as David Long Jr. So that means Darion Kendrick's good to go. You'll probably see more of Grant Haley, who I thought did well filling in the slot corner spot. And then, of course, Jalen Ramsey. Jordan Fuller, according to Jordan Rodriguez, said that Jordan Fuller is likely to go. So we'll potentially see him. He was a little bit of a surprise scratch for a lot of people last week. I didn't expect him to miss last week, but there's a chance that he'll play. Pretty good chance that he'll play. And then in addition to that, just to report, David Edwards at left guard is going to be replaced by Bobby Evans. So that will be kind of a big tell here where the Rams are with their depth. That Alexis has basically been pounding the table all off season and during the regular season. There's not enough depth on this team. I think adding Ode Abushi was a huge move. I thought it was the right move for the depth purposes, but why he's not playing is beyond me. So that's the injury report. I mean, I probably missed some guys. I mean, that's what I have in front of me. Azeez Al-Shaair is another one that's probably not going to end up playing for the 49ers. Very talented linebacker in his own right. But that's what I have, Alexis, in addition to, of course, Van Jefferson being out and the obvious.
Right. Yeah. And this is also, again, this could very well change before Monday night. And this isn't even accurate for today. I mean, they haven't released anything yet today, and it's already 2 p.m. Pacific time. So we're just kind of going off what we have. Don't hold us to that list, but that's just kind of the news so far. But Jake, let's get into it. Okay, let's get into looking at let's start with the Rams defense and the 49ers offense. I do want to go through the 49ers depth chart really quick because in case people aren't familiar with what their current depth chart looks like, we did talk about the quarterback position. We already know that Jimmy Garoppolo is starting at quarterback because of Trey Lance's injury. You want to look at running back position. You've got Jeff Wilson starting. And after that, Jake, because of the injuries, so what I'm seeing is Tyrion Davis-Price.
He is out, I think. Yeah, yes. He's got a hip injury, I think. That's another guy I forgot to mention.
This is like not accurate. I guess they have not updated the 49ers. But after that, Jake, what's interesting, you've got Marlon Mack, who a lot of people didn't know was on the 49ers this year, and Jordan Mason, who I'm not quite familiar with. I think that he was a UDFA pickup this year.
Yeah, he beat out my guy, Trey Sermon. But you know what's a weird thing, Alexis, that it's not going to tell you because I was dumbfounded. I did a collab with Johnny Dells, who does like 49ers film. And he told me that Tevin Coleman is back with the 49ers. I did not know that.
I didn't. That must be a new move because I don't even see that on this depth chart.
He was apparently on the roster last week, but did not play because he has sickle cell. So he couldn't play in the high altitude against the Broncos. It
shows that he's on the practice squad, but they might have moved him down.
Yeah, I guess he's going to play this week. I don't know.
So you basically got Tevin Coleman and Jeff Wilson and Marlon Mack, who I assume are going to take the heavy load at running back. At wide receiver, you've got obviously Deebo Samuel, who is a wide receiver / running back. I could have included him in either group there. Jawan Jennings and obviously Brandon Ayuk, who's a first-round pick in 2020. I really like him. I know that you like him too a lot. Jake, good receiver. And then offense, tight end, you've got George Kittle and Charlie Warner. But George Kittle is obviously one of the best tight ends in the NFL. So he's a very big offensive weapon for the 49ers. Now, looking at this offensive line, obviously Trent Williams would normally be the left tackle, but he's out. So we've got Colton McKivitz. I remember watching film on him in 2020. He was a 5th-round pick back in 2020 out of West Virginia. Jake was reminding me before the show that Colton really mostly played right tackle and guard. So it is interesting that that is who they're going to have in at left tackle. But, maybe he's been showing that he can play that in camp. It is a little strange. Left guard, you've got Aaron Banks, who I really like. He's a guard out of Notre Dame. Center, you've got Jake Brendel. Right guard, you've got rookie Spencer Buford, who went in the 4th round, but I actually thought he was going to go higher out of the University of Texas, San Antonio. Pretty good guard there at right guard. And then obviously Mike McGlinchey at right tackle, who pretty solid right tackle there. So Jake, not a bad offensive line. Obviously, left tackle is a bit of a concern because you're going from Trent Williams, the best left tackle, arguably, in the NFL, to a guy who doesn't really have much experience at left tackle. So, Jake, what are your thoughts on this San Francisco 49ers offense, just the depth chart that we just looked at? And also, just to get us started kind of on the Rams defense, what do you think the Rams defense approach should be to dominating them?
So, you look at the offensive line, like you said with McKivitz, so they initially put in Jalen Moore for whatever reason. Moore in 4 snaps gave up 2 pressures. So it wasn't a good day at the office for Moore. They did not waste any time to pull him, put in McKivitz because, Williams got hurt last week. McKivitz looked good. I do have to give him credit. He looked good at left tackle. I don't know who he's going to be going up against because the Rams like to kind of rotate between having Terrell Lewis and having Justin Hollins, and both are athletic as hell. So it's going to be a tough day for him, especially you look at Terrell Lewis, his ability to use speed to power. He's becoming a freak. Let's be honest here. He's really turned it on. So that's going to be tough. Aaron Banks has been absolutely balling out on tape. I was really impressed with his tape. Brendel's looks solid. I think when you look at Buford, I think he's exactly what the doctor ordered. They needed to get a guy that could kind of plug in and play, and he has played very well as a rookie. But McGlinchey is somebody that, again, very good in the run game. He's kind of struggled in the past. So, the 49ers are in the 20s for, DVOA, according to Football Outsiders, which is, defensive adjusted value, and basically the way it is with that, like the 49ers, they have built their offensive line to run the football, like what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. So they're going to try to run the football. In Jeff Wilson's times playing against the Rams, he has had 25 carries for 77 yards in 5 games. So he hasn't gotten a huge opportunity, but in that workload, which is entire game basically, the Rams have held him in check. I think Debo is going to be used more often than not. I think they're going to use Debo out of the backfield. I think they're going to make the Rams stop him, and I think he's going to get his first downs. Somebody that plays physical. I think he can play bully ball. So I think that's definitely something to look out for. As the receivers, you look, Alexis, as far as tight end, George Kittle has been a Ram killer. He has over 700 yards in 5 touchdowns in his career against the Rams. And when you look at Kittle, this is somebody that can absolutely take over a game, and he seems to always score against the Rams. Just feels that way anyway. But the Rams have done a really nice job keeping the tight ends in check. You look at, first off, Kyle Pitts. Some argue he's the best tight end already in the league. Rams held him to 16 yards on 2 catches. You look at Dawson Knox. Guy's a touchdown machine. He had 1 catch for 9 yards. You look at Zach Ertz. He didn't really do much against the Rams. So when you look at the Rams have had, some tendencies to really shut down the tight ends. Now you look at Debo, you look at Brandon Ayuk and Jawan Jennings, and Brandon Ayuk just hasn't taken that next step like the 49ers really want him to take to be that number 1 guy. Debo is giving the Rams fits, as we saw, but Jawan Jennings in week 18 against the Rams was really good. So the question is, how do you defend him, right? You asked me that. I do not think you can play that typical bend, don't break defense. I think, and Sean McVay kind of alluded to the idea in his Sean McVay show, look, we're going to play teams based on the matchup. And not every single week we're going to play the same defense. We're not going to play the same offense. And so I think that, that makes a lot of sense because when you look at the Niners and what they do, it doesn't make any sense because you don't have any guys. If Danny Gray doesn't play, Alexis, they don't have anybody over the top to worry about. Ayuk has good speed, not great speed. Debo has good speed, not great speed. No one can really take the top off the defense, right? So I think that kind of takes the true bend don't break, or at least the one that we saw against the Cardinals, which I felt like was a little extra because of the guys that were out. The guys that are out are still out this week, right? But now you're focusing on underneath. Garoppolo doesn't want to test deep down the field. He's a short and intermediate passer. So you want to keep everything to a minimum underneath, as opposed to Kyler Murray, where you're trying to funnel everything underneath. You see what I'm saying? So the way I would do it is probably play single high safety and kind of load the middle of the field, because that's where the 49ers do their damage. They got these guys like Ayuk, like Debo, to make plays after the catch. Not necessarily over the top, but after the catch. So that's how I see them playing, probably throwing in some cover 3. Playing like the Legion of Boom, for people that don't know what cover 3 is, that's what the Seattle Seahawks pretty much ran predominantly throughout their reign. That's what I see them doing, and probably having Bobby Wagner roam around and Ernest Jones roam around a little bit, but that's how I see that going.
And I agree with you. Totally agree with you on what the Rams defensive game plan should be. But I kind of want to touch on Jimmy Garoppolo. Because here's the issue here, I think, for the 49ers. I've always really liked Jimmy Garoppolo. Like the past few seasons, I've kind of been higher on him than everybody else. And I've gotten a lot of people haven't liked it. But from what he's done so far this season, Jake, I don't know that I have faith that Jimmy Garoppolo can go in there and produce for the 49ers offense the way that he would need to be successful against the Rams defense. Does that make sense? Like everything that you just said, Jimmy Garoppolo, I think even the bare minimum, I don't know. I think I'm just scarred from watching last Monday night, or was it Sunday night? It was the Broncos and the 49ers.
Oh yeah.
Well, which was I think it was Sunday night. It was bad. And Jimmy Garoppolo, I thought, really struggled and he didn't look well. And I think the Rams defense is a lot better than Denver's defense. A lot.
Well,
so
and the interesting thing, just to chime in a little bit here, the interesting thing about this is that Coach Ojiro Evero, who was the secondary coach for the Rams, safety coach, he's now the defensive coordinator for the Broncos. Do you realize how easy it is to game plan the Niners now? Because the Broncos set the template, essentially, the blueprint on how to defend this defense, or how to defend this offense. Right. That's the thing. So Evero, he shut them down. And I think the Rams are going to take a lot of what he did and just kind of copy and paste it onto their defense this week against the 49ers.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. I think you're right. I'm very curious to see how Garoppolo does, because I don't know. It hasn't looked great for him so far. I mean, as a Rams fan, can't complain. But it is interesting. It's something to watch out for, because I do think, when I think of the Rams defense in this game, I think they have a real opportunity to just make Jimmy Garoppolo's life hell. I do like this offensive line for the 49ers. I actually think they're pretty solid. So, as opposed to some other games we've played this year, where I'm like, oh, the Rams are going to go in there and just absolutely brutalize the quarterback. I don't know that it's going to be that kind of game against the 49ers. We covered their offensive line. I think they're pretty solid. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a few sacks, but I don't think it's going to be like a Joe Burrow type situation where he's just getting sacked all the time. But let's talk about the 49ers defense now, Jake, and talk about our offense. And I just almost closed out of this whole thing.
Oh no!
So I'm gonna run through the 49ers defensive depth chart. Let me know again. I'm not sure if this is updated or not. I do know obviously Azeez Al-Shir is out. You covered that already, but some of these guys, I think this is accurate, but we'll see. Things are weird lately. Nothing gets updated like it used to anymore. Okay. So, Jake, up front for the Rams, we have Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, and someone who Rams fans are super familiar with, Samson Ebukam. I always forget that he's on the 49ers until we're about to play them, and then he's on the depth chart, and it kind of makes me reminisce. Year.
10 pressures.
He is. Okay. Oh, and Nick Bosa, obviously. Sorry.
No, you can't forget about him. He's
Nick Bosa's up there. Obviously the best player on that defensive front. They've got 4 up front. Looking at their linebacking core, you've got Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, and they actually don't even have anybody in here filling in for Alshire.
It's something Foles.
Is it? Yeah, Demetrius Flanagan Foles.
Flanagan Foles filled in for him last week when he got hurt.
Yeah,
I don't think Alshire is going to play. I think it'll be Flanagan Foles.
Yeah, I agree. So that's going to be the linebacking core. Then you look at their backfield at safety. They've got Hufanga and Gibson Sr. And then at corner, they've got Emmanuel Mosley, Shavarius Ward, and Samuel Womack III, who was a rookie drafted in the 5th round. Jake, I believe out in Nebraska.
Womack, am I remembering that? Sounds like Toledo. I could be wrong.
One of those. I don't remember.
One of those schools.
Nebraska or Toledo, or somewhere else, because we're not remembering at the moment. But Jake, looking at this defense, obviously the 49ers, when they're fully healthy, they have honestly one of the best defenses in the league on paper. That a lot of really, really talented players. Obviously we just talked about Nick Bosa. Very good. Armstead, very good. Kinlaw, very good. Ebukam having a good year. Fred Warner, one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL. Dre Greenlaw, I really like. Alshire's obviously good, but he's not going to be playing. But Jake, I do think that I'm not very high on their secondary. Now, I don't know if that's crazy because I'm not talking about from a statistic standpoint right now, but in terms of if the Rams offense, I just think the Rams offense has an opportunity here with that secondary more so than they do trying to work their way through the front 4 and the linebackers. So Jake, what do you think the Rams need to do to be successful against this 49ers defense, who is, they're missing a guy, but they're actually fully healthy, if that is still correct, which it should be, but we don't know.
So the way I see it, going up against this 49ers defense that is top 5 in the league according to Football Outsiders DVOA, I just feel like when you look at this defense, the pressure there, like if all those guys play, if Armstead doesn't play and Kinlaw doesn't play, things are going to get tough here, at the end of the day. It's going to be hard to stop the Rams if you don't have that 4-man rush, because you know how you beat Matthew Stafford? It's very simple, okay? You beat Matthew Stafford by getting pressure on him. And how do you do it? You don't blitz. If you can get 4-man rushes on him all game long like the Bills did, that's how you beat Matthew Stafford, because Stafford picks you apart when you blitz because he can see this man left his post. That guy's open. I'm going to throw to him, right? But if you're not blitzing, then it becomes a coverage sack, basically. And you're getting there quicker with the 4-man rush. And so it's very interesting, right? And I feel like when you're going up against this defense, Gibson and Hufanga are just becoming like such a nice tandem in the back end of that secondary. Mosley's solid. And Charvarius Ward has been way better than I could have expected. He's played very well. Womack and Diomedor Lenore have kind of rotated. But, when you look at this defense, there are definitely ways to attack it. First off, not trying to take any credit away from the defense, Alexis, but they did play they did play the Bears, they did play the Seattle Seahawks, and they played the Broncos. The Broncos offense, I don't know if it's Russell Wilson being washed up a little bit. I don't know if it is Nathaniel Hackett, but their offense is not very good. Then you look at Seattle. Seattle's just really dink and dunk central with Geno Smith. They're not allowing him to really test the field deep down the field, whatever. And then the Bears, sorry, Papa Don, but man, Justin Fields has a 51% completion percentage. Like, that's awful.
Yeah.
So the Bears, like, their leading receiver going to week 4, Alexis, doesn't even have 80 yards. That's all you need to know. So I think it's fair of an argument to say, yes, this defenses look great through the first 3 games against weaker competition, but they have to prove it against what is by far the best team that they've faced so far, and arguably one of the best teams that they'll face all year, maybe the best. And
well, exactly. They have not seen an offense remotely close to the Rams this season. So
no way.
Jake, my thought process is, again, and this is just like, I'm just breaking, like, I'm not talking about just anything complicated, but looking at this 49ers defense, is this the game for Sean McVay to do what he wants to do every game? Is this the game? Because here's the thing, I still say no, but looking at this roster, again, this is just in my mind, I am more nervous about that, trying to run against the front four and these linebackers, than I am about throwing the ball against the secondary. That's just how I feel. Again, I don't know if Sean McVay is going to feel the same way, but we know that Sean McVay's pass happy. We've been screaming at him all season to run the ball. And in my mind, I'm like, out of all the games we played this season, this is the first time that I'm kind of like, try it. Like, go out there and just do what you've been trying to do every single game. And if I was going to pick a game for this to actually work, it might be against the 49ers, as crazy as that sounds. What do you think? Do you think that Sean McVay is going to do that? I mean, we both know the odds are probably yes. Just knowing Sean McVay and what he likes to do. Or do you think he's going to switch it up? Because I don't think this is the game to switch it up. I don't. I'm not nervous about this 49ers defense, but I do think they've obviously got just like a very strong front. What do you think?
So, I mean, I think they're gonna keep doing what they're doing. You know, they'll switch it up a little bit. I mean, these two, they're friends, but there's an ego here between these two coaches. I mean, come on, it's like, don't you want to one up your best friend in Mario Kart or like, you know, Mortal Kombat or something? I mean, of course you do. 2K. So, I mean, think about it like that. Now think about it like these guys are getting paid to do this for their job. And think about it like this, Alexis, it's on Monday Night Football where the world can watch it. I feel like in that sense, you're going to get some trick plays, you know, on both sides. But I do think that based on the tape that I've watched and like going through it on my channel and just like, you know, really breaking it down as best I can, Ben Skoranek is really the key to this game, because when you look at what he does at the fullback position, go back to the Falcons game where Darrell Henderson has a walk-in touchdown. Why do you think he has a walk-in touchdown? Well, the first thing is great blocking by Cooper Kupp, right? He blocks at the second level, gets him in, touchdown. But what people don't see is on the other side, Ben Skoranek, the fullback, is hitting the other hole. So he's going towards the in between the left tackle and the left guard. When he goes over there, other guys follow. Ben Skoranek has created this idea in defenses' heads that anytime he moves, well, now the team might run there because he's the lead blocker. And it's like now he's a decoy, but he can also hurt you over the top. He can hurt you, on the post towards the sideline. He can hurt you. He hurt J.J. Watt. I mean, we saw that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think adding this little wrinkle to the passing attack and the running game has just made them so lethal. And it's like the argument I'll make, you and I were annoyed by last game. That was pretty much the description that we had for the last game. It was annoying, right? They won 20-12 and they absolutely dominated, Arizona. The reason for that is because they were this close. This close. Doesn't mean that they score touchdowns when you're this close. You have to actually score them. But the Cooper Kupp drop in the end zone, that's a touchdown. Allen Robinson drop in the end zone, that's a touchdown. Cam Akers fumble at the goal line. That would have been a touchdown. So that's 21 points off the board. Maybe you connect with Tutu Atwell down the field, that's 28. Maybe you connect with Cooper Kupp deep down the field, that's 35. You see what I'm saying? So they're getting there. I feel like they're a little rusty. And this is a game where you're finally ending like the first quarter of the season, just about. So we'll see. But I think they got to stick with what they're doing with Skoranek big time. And Benny just mirror them, because they're going to use Kyle Juszczyk. We know they use him. But the Rams will be like, all right, we'll match your Kyle Juszczyk with our Ben Skoranek. And then on top of that, we're going to hit you with Cooper Kupp. And he's the first, he's literally first in the league in bracketed coverage this year and is still almost at 300 yards through the first 3 games, which is incredible. And I just have kind of seen, I know last week wasn't the best because he dropped a touchdown, would have been like 70 yards on the day, ends up only getting like 40, but he still found the end zone. And this guy has consistency. I also think, Alexis, that they're getting there with the connection between Matthew Stafford and Allen Robinson. It's coming. It's getting there. If he punched the ball into the end zone before Cam Akers fumbled, that would have changed every narrative, including on my part and on the mainstream media's part the next day. So I think against this defense, the Rams have to keep using Skoranek the way they're using him. And I think they have to activate play action. I think you got to be able to establish the run early on. You can't just look at this defense and be like, oh, they're really good at stopping the run, so can't run against them. Like, that's not how it works. You got to try. Cam Akers had some really good runs in the NFC title game against the 49ers, hard runs. You look at Darrell Henderson. Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson both average over 5 yards per carry against the Niners in their career. Cam Akers averages 6.2 and Darrell Henderson averages 5.1. I think that's important there because I think they're really going to have to run the ball, whether they want to or not. They're going to have to try and establish the run, open up play action, and maybe, just maybe, Alexis, we get Jacob Harris, Brandon Powell, Tutu Atwell down the field, somebody like that to take the top off the defense. Because right now, if you're looking at this offense, the biggest issue is that they do not have Van Jefferson. And while I don't think he should be this big of a need, it's not to say that I don't think he's a really good player, but he shouldn't be this big of a need. I think Sean McVay has had some issues getting this offense going without him. So I think if you add somebody like that can help you deep down the field, like a Tutu Atwell that we saw they tried to connect, maybe Ben Skoranek. He ran by this team. He was wide open in the end zone in the NFC title game. You get those guys involved, and now it takes, the top off the defense. It opens up the underneath, and you can start moving the chains. Another guy, before I send it over to you, Tyler Higbee. I know Blanton did what he did in the NFC title game, and they can use him. But Tyler Higbee and the all reliable tight end screen, the slip screen, has been working like a dream. He's got 24 targets, and he's second in the team in receiving. If you told me going into week 4 that Tyler Higbee would be second in receiving, I would have said you were nuts, because I would have expected by now Allen Robinson to be ahead of him. But Tyler Higbee's been playing well. They got to be able to keep him in check because the Rams can really move the chains with that slip screen that they continue to use.
Jake, something I said to you before we went on air was that the Rams need to have a statement game.
I agree.
They really need to come out because, so they come off the Super Bowl, right? They win the Super Bowl, but then they come out to start the season, get dominated, quite frankly, by the Bills. Just a really, really bad game for the Rams against the Bills. They win against Atlanta. It wasn't pretty. They win against Arizona, but it was not pretty. And the Rams have kind of have this narrative around them. What's going on? Why do they look so bad? They dominate these games, but they're not producing. They're not really scoring a ton or whatever it is, the narrative that's around. And the thing is, while I don't think that all those are true, I get it. Because they don't look like the Rams that we saw last season. They don't have that kind of edge. We haven't really seen that spark. It looks kind of awkward out there. It just doesn't look like the gel. They're just not gelling like they were last season. And I really think that this is an opportunity on a primetime stage against a good 49ers team. I mean, listen, there are rivals, but I do think this is a really talented roster to come out and show that they are the Rams from last year. They do have that spark. They do have that energy. whatever it is that people are saying, I think they have an opportunity to kind of shut that down. And I think if our offense can get off to a hot start and sustain that, because we've seen that already this season, but then they kind of fall off. If they can sustain that energy the entire game, I think there's an opportunity for the Rams to really put on an offensive show. I really do. And I think that that's going to stem around from getting everybody involved, not just Cooper Kupp, not just Tyler Higbee, but more of Skoranek. Get Allen Robinson involved. Let's get him the ball, making sure the run game stays solid. So it'll be interesting to see. And now we're going to talk about our kind of stat predictions so we can kind of indicate what we think is going to happen. Jake, but looking at this game, I think that Cooper Kupp is going to have a multiple touchdown game. I do. I think he does well against the 49ers. I think that he's got a touchdown in every game this season. I don't think it's going to stop on Monday night.
That's a good point.
So I'm thinking two. Maybe one will be rushing, maybe one receiving. I think they're probably both going to be receiving, but he did get a rushing touchdown last week. I think Cooper Kupp's going to have a multiple reception game. I think Allen Robinson's going to get his first touchdown as a Ram in this game.
Well, he does have a touchdown. He got one.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, right. He got one against Atlanta.
Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah.
He has one, right? But not two.
No, he does not have two.
Okay, I think he's going to get
7 catches for like 88 yards.
You know what I was thinking of? It was Atlanta because he got one called back, and I forgot that he got another one, right?
Yeah, Wasn't it was BS.
Yeah. Okay. That makes my prediction less exciting. The second one, whatever. But I think that Allen Robinson's going to get another touchdown. On the defensive side of the ball, Jake, I think Darion Kendrick's going to get an interception.
That would be big.
I think that I just feel it. I feel like he's going to really step up. David Long is still out. I think he's going to see the field a lot. And Jake, I would be remiss if I didn't predict an Aaron Donald sack against Jimmy Garoppolo. We love to see it. The image is burned in our minds from the NFC Championship game. I can still see it so clearly. I was there. I could feel it. I think it's going to happen again. I think that Aaron Donald just steps up.
Can't believe you saw that in person. That had to have been amazing, watching the ball just flick off his hands and then go into...
I didn't see it. I did, but I didn't. So I was like, right as it happened, the dude in front of me like stood up.
Oh no!
I think I do remember me telling. I was literally.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh no!
And he was so tall, and like all of us in that row, we just saw the ball go up for the interception.
Oh my god!
But we saw.
Was he a Rams fan at least?
Yeah, he was a Rams.
Okay,
fan.
all right.
But yeah, I just again. So those are like 4 None of those, I guess, are like super crazy. I don't like me. I'm superstitious. I don't like to get super crazy with my predictions, but
you're a little stitious.
Yeah, I'm a little stitious. I just don't, those are simple enough. Like I said, I just think overall, I think the offense is going to have a big week or a big game. Same thing. Against the 49ers. I think they have a real opportunity there. What are your predictions, Jake?
Well, as you know, or you don't know, I did predict a block punt. That was ridiculous. That was insane. When the hell do I predict block punts? And then it was the first freaking... Anyway, that was pretty dope. Thank you, Michael Hoyt, for making me look like Houdini. Okay. Yeah, so the way I think this is going to be a big Skoranek game. He's been building up. And believe it or not, Alexis, there's this little thing that happens when you play a guy consistently. He gets into a groove, right? Like he starts to get confidence. And Skoranek has been kind of featured in a sense in this all. I'm not saying he has 100% been the guy, right? Obviously, Cooper Kupp's the guy. But Ben Skoranek had over 60 yards last week. I had 75. That was my prediction. So I almost got that right too. Would have had it if he didn't step out of bounds. But I feel like you're going to get another Skoranek game where this time, say he gets 100. Maybe he gets a touchdown. I could see something like that. So I'm going to say 100 and a touchdown for Skoranek. I'm going to say that the running back room as a whole, because predicting who is going to, run for a touchdown or predict who's going to get the majority of the carries is just not very smart at this point. I would never bet on this running back room now moving forward because
nope.
I don't know.
Don't do it, guys.
You know, Sean McVay will be like, yeah, you know, Darrell Henderson, you're running 7 yards a carry. Let's give it to Cam Akers. Oh, Cam Akers, you're running well. Let's give it to Henderson. Like, I don't know who to decide. So why don't we just combine them and just say the running back room goes over 100 yards against the 49ers? I think that's a good point. You know, I think they're going to be able to establish the run. I think it's going to shock people. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to open up play action. Skoranek is going to be able to, like I said, have that 100 and touchdown. We'll say they go over 100. And then on the defensive side, I'm going to say that the defense sacks Jimmy Garoppolo 3 times, which is 1 more than his 2 he is averaged per game against the Rams. And I'm going to say on the other side, you know, Matthew Stafford has been sacked 3 times per game against the Niners, which is massive. Like, he was sacked 5 times in the NFC title game. I'm going to say he's sacked once again. Only once in this game, 1 or fewer. I think the offensive line is once again going to show you, although keep in mind, I know Edwards is out, and it is Bobby Evans. So I am a little concerned by that, but I think this team and this offensive line is not getting enough credit. At least this offensive line is not. They played well last week, did not get enough credit. And I think they're going to play well this week, still not get enough credit, but I think they're only going to give up 1 or fewer sacks in this game. And then finally, I'm going to say that the Rams run a trick play. This is my big, you know, out of the hat prediction. I'm going to say Cam Akers throws a pass. I'm not going to say it's a touchdown, but he throws a pass to Cooper Kupp. That's what I'm going to say.
There you go. That's a prediction. Now, Jake, the score. Here's the thing. Okay, so I predict that the Rams win.
Oh, you got the Rams winning. Okay.
I do have the Rams winning 28-17. What do you think?
Wow. I would love that. I think it's going to be 24-18. I think it's going to be ugly. I think it's, you know, you do have a 100-yard receiver in Skoranek. I think you could have 200-yard receivers in Skoranek and Kupp, but I still think the 49ers can force turnovers. They can play, you know, solid enough defense to kind of flip the field. But I also think Garoppolo can force turnovers. So I see 24-18, and I see an ending with the 49ers going down the field to win the game, giving us, you know, cardiac arrest, and Aaron Donald or, you know, Darian Kendrick or Jalen Ramsey or one of them makes a big play, whether it's a turnover on downs or an interception. You know, Aaron Donald forces it or whatever. That's what I see happening. I think it's going to be 24-18, and I think the Niners are going to show you, like, okay, they can start moving the ball, and they're gonna have everybody on Twitter losing their minds, like, they're playing off the guy. Are you kidding me? Like, and I mean, they're going to be, you know, I don't know. That's how I see it. 24-18. That's been my score. I'll probably bet on it because Alexis, you should do it the same. If you believe in a score, you can actually bet on the exact score. And if it hits, man, you can win a lot of money. Like, I'm not kidding you. The odds are crazy. I mean, they should be, right? You're betting on the exact score. Think about what could happen, even if you have the exact score in the final minute. But yeah, I'm going to be doing that. I'm betting on 24-18 Rams victory on Monday Night Football. They move to 3-1. The 49ers fall to 1-3. The Rams have a commanding lead over the NFC West, like it should be.
Maybe I'll go bet on 28-17.
There we go.
You know, like I said, 2 Cooper Kupp touchdowns, and Allen Robinson touchdown, and then
should bet on Cooper Kupp scoring 2 touchdowns. Those are good odds too.
Good. I'm sure that's going to be a prop somewhere. I mean, it's
it
Cooper
will.
Kupp.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see, but we're both on board with hoping for a Rams win Monday night. We believe it will happen. We'll be back, guys. I'll probably record on Tuesday, get that episode out as quick as we can to recap that game. But until then, as always, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Kraft. You can follow Jake at JKBogan. And guys, we'll be back next week. But until then, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.
If you haven't joined Prize Picks yet, you need to do it this season. Prize Picks allows you to pick up to 5 player props, and it gives you the option to 10x your winnings. Look at this right now. Tom Brady right now, for a limited time only, is a free square, because unless he gets hurt, he is going to be getting that 0.5. I'm going to select Tom Brady. I'm going to select Josh Allen going 275.5. Matthew Stafford going 265.5. We'll just throw Lamar Jackson in here, and we'll just throw, let's just throw Justin Fields gets more than 191.5. So what you do here, you go, you put more or less if you believe, you know, Lamar Jackson gets less than that. And there you go, 10x your winnings if this pays out. You will actually get paid out even if you only hit 3 of them. You'll get 0.4 times your money back. You'll get 2 times. You'll double your money if you get at least 4 out of 5. Deposit today by using our promo code DTRAMS, and you'll get up to a $100 bonus match.